Okay, so we are live. Welcome back to the DM Live Health Show. Really excited about this one. Guys, if you are watching it live or if you are tuning in to the replay, say hello, hit like, hit share, post in the comments. This one's going to be great because it's an old friend of mine from the military, Parksy. Parksy, how you doing, mate?
Yeah, good, Dean. Very good.
Mate, it's great to have you on. I've actually been really excited about this one because some of them I've done on my own, and then other ones I've had other people in the fitness industry and coaches and stuff like that on. But to have you on, and I know you were kind of in the fitness side of things in the military, being an army PTI, but now you're kind of doing like a normal civilian job, and you're not coaching, you're not lecturing on fitness and nutrition and stuff anymore. You're just kind of doing everyday guy stuff, but setting standards that are so high in health and fitness. So it's going to be quite relatable to a lot of the guys that follow my stuff, and I'm sure they're going to find it very inspiring. So, Parksy, can you do me a favour, mate? And for anyone who is watching, you just give us a wee bit of a brief background. Like, what's your story? How did you end up getting into fitness and taking such an interest in your health and looking after yourself, mate?
I mean, obviously, pretty much like yourself, I suppose. When you're in the military, you do have that kind of that base fitness. You always have that. You've got this select few that take it that little bit further. I.e., you have what you need to do from a necessity point of view. I.e., you kind of your annual test, but you always have someone who wants to take it further. And I think for me, when I was over in Germany, I was over in Germany for 4+ years at a young age, and booze was just like a massive part of that kind of early phase in my army career. And I got to the point where I felt, like that's all I'd done for a good 4 years in my early stages, just go out drinking. So something needed to change, because even though I was like massive into the booze, I was also kind of like had that element where I was wise enough to know it wasn't going to be something that I could just keep going on with, or should I rephrase that, I didn't want to carry on with. So I kind of started looking into like the fitness. I was always into my gym, like the beach weights, the kind of like bicep curls and your dips. So yeah, kind of just escalated from there. Cut a long story short, went on the PTI course. That was as interesting as it was, I guess. Lads on it obviously made it, as you know. So yeah, that's kind of where, once I got into that instruction side of fitness, that's where I felt like, obviously it was up to me to do that research for obviously the lessons again, as you know. And that's when I started finding more interest in it, because I realized how diverse fitness in terms of like what you can and want to train can be. Yeah. So that's where it essentially escalated for me. And here we are now, just kind of still got the bug. It's
absolutely. And for anyone who doesn't know, Parksy mentioned oh, I'm sorry, I'm calling you Parksy. Do you prefer Alex now?
Yeah, mate. You know what? I'll answer to either. I
always check, like, anything I bump into any of the lads who have left the army, because sometimes I'll call them by the name that they were called in the army, whether it's their second name or the nickname they had, and they're like, by the way, nobody calls me that anymore. I'm like, that was just army. I'm like, right, cool.
Don't get me wrong. The lads that call me Parksy are literally just the army lads, but it's nice to have that divide. Do you know what I mean? Like, that makes sense. But
yeah. So for anyone who doesn't know, Parksy was talking about the PTI course, which is the course that your unit in the army would send you to become a qualified, essentially personal trainer within the military itself, and you come back to your unit and train. You would help train a company or of your unit and keep them fit, keep them to the military standards, and that's where Parksy and I met. We were in the same section and working together for 9 weeks. Was it 9 weeks then? It wasn't it?
And yeah, it was about that, wasn't it?
Yeah, I always said like that if it was possible, I would just keep redoing that course again because I enjoyed it so
Yeah,
much. It was great
yeah,
crack. That
for
was just
sure.
like
Yeah.
funny shit. I'd keep repeating. It was such a great course. But moving on from that and back to you, mate. Now that you're out the army, you're in way better shape physically, health wise than right now than what you were then when you were younger. And with so many responsibilities, like you've got 3 kids, you have a family, you have a full-time job, life's a bit hectic, like it is for many. That must take some amount of motive for you to be in way above average shape. Like, so what is it that motivates you to keep on top of your health and your physique and your fitness so much?
Do you know what it is, Dean? It's obviously it differs for people, but for me, I think there's a certain point in my life where it was more like my mindset switched. So once I switched my mindset to what mattered for me and essentially what I was here on this earth to do, you know, especially with my family, it kind of hit home more in terms of the importance of the fitness.
Mm-hmm.
So, like we've touched on before, when I was on the course, I had one of the lessons I had to plan was functional fitness, and then like again I touched on once I started researching into functional fitness, it kind of started all to piece together and made sense that, you know what, functional fitness for me is just so relevant to life and its patterns. So going from that, that's what I just carried on to do, was following that functional fitness. But functional fitness was all to do with like everyday movements, and everyday movements for me was playing with my kids, you know, going out with the family. Everything I can relate back to was my kids, my family, and my longevity in life, or my longevity as being a husband and a father. So for me, that's a massive pull, a massive, massive motivator. For me, that was be all and end all. I need to keep fit. I need to keep working hard. I need to stay true to this for the benefit of my family. Not only myself, there is an element of myself, but they're going to benefit from having me being like a fit husband and a fit father. It's as simple as that, mate. And that's enough of a pull for me to carry it on and keep going. It's just huge.
Yeah, I find like that's so important, and that's ultimately a lot of the reasons that I find for a lot of the guys that come to work with me and go through the coaching program. Because all the guys that I coach, 99.9% of them are dads and family men, and they'll reach a point where often they find, you know what, I'm tired all the time. The kids will want to go out and play and go on adventures and stuff after work, and like I'm coming home from work needing an hour's kip, or I'm too tired to try and, you know, feeling my fitness slacking, trying to keep up with them, etc. And they're thinking like, where's this going to be in 10 years' time? You know, when my kids are a bit bigger again and they want to go hiking and mountain, am I going to be able to do all that stuff with them? And that's massive for me as well. And again, you mentioned it's not just for the kids, but also, you know, there's elements of it there for you. Same here. Like I've had a really bad knee injury, which has stemmed from the military, kind of got worse, and now I'm kind of trying to rebuild that to the best I can have it. And that's so that I can do stuff that I love, like hiking mountains and, you know, getting out. And my son's now starting to show an interest in that stuff. So we
Brilliant.
had him on his first mountain. No, sorry, it wasn't even a mountain. It was a corbett, just kind of slightly below Monroe to break him in. Didn't want to like, I didn't want to like destroy him and put him off coming back. So we did an easier one. And, you know, having my knees healthy as possible so that I can do that stuff as long as possible is super important. And a lot of people get caught up and I think there's great things about like bodybuilding type training. There's loads of good benefits to it. But, you know, if you just train in those straight lines and stuff all the time, then that's when injuries kind of start to happen. Your body becomes more like a robot. So not just fitness to keep in shape, but training in a way that it's good for your joints, it's good for your body's movement, and it's going to actually support the activities you want to do, whether that is hiking mountains with your children, whether it's getting involved in sports with your children, and all those kind of things as well. And viewing it through that kind of lens, I find that can be a very powerful leverage and a very powerful why to keep on top of it and look after yourself.
Yeah, sure.
Absolutely, man. So, in terms of nutrition, mate, do you have any like nutritional principles? What does a day of eating look like for you? Can you give us a little bit of insight on that?
Yeah, funny enough, I took a picture of my beans on toast earlier. Because as we were saying before, it's for me, it's just keeping it simple. And that's not me saying, because, you know, you have all these influencers, all these PTs that are pretty stacked, you know, and it's what rolls with them, what favors them, what suits them. But for me, again, on the supplementation side and the diet side, it's so saturated and there's so many options out there. And for me, that didn't do well for like my anxiety, for like it overwhelmed me, because it's like if I go into a supermarket and I want one specific item, I don't know, let's say some ground coffee, and there's like 20 choices. Like, for me, it's just like, why is there 20 choices? Surely there's no, you know what I mean? So for me, I'd rather go in and be like, there's 2 choices. It's just 50-50, go and get this. So I thought to myself, because don't get me wrong, I was taking all kinds of pre-workout. I was taking all these kind of different, your BCCAs, which is a bit of a dirty word, or an acronym. There were so many, and it was just, by the time you got onto one, there was another one on the market that was saying it would do X, Y, Z. And for me, I was just like, no, listen, there's got to be something. Prior to all these supplements, you know, people were doing what? They were just still doing what, to a certain extent, what we're doing now, keeping fit, minus these subs. So there must have been something prior. And all that is just simple, straightforward nutrition. So for me, mate, it is as simple as your 5 to 7 portions of veg through the day, which is absolute. Like I struggle to eat my veg in terms of it's not necessarily, you know, when you're hungry, the last thing I want to reach for is like a fry of broccoli, or yeah, it doesn't do nothing for me, mate. So all I do is just I put mine straight into a blender. I literally just had it then. I just put a couple of handful of berries, your strawberries, your currants, and just 2 big blocks of spinach. Blitzed it, necked it, mate. And it's simple as that. And it doesn't taste great, but do you want it to taste great? As long as it doesn't taste abysmal to the point where it's like, I can't stand that. Who cares? For me, I just tamped a massive healthy, or what I see as healthy smoothie, got 2 of my 5 a day, if probably maybe 3, get it down in a smoothie, and it's over and done with in like 5-10 minutes. So you're not sitting there, you know, there is that kind of there is what am I going to say, when they eat, you know, that there's pros to eating, not actually going through that chewing motion if you want to get too much into it. But for me, like we was talking, a busy lifestyle doesn't allow me to kind of defrost or cook a couple of flights of broccoli, or, you know, prep the veg and cook it. For me, get it in a blender from the freezer, blitz it, neck it down. And it is just as simple as nutrition as that, mate. Like talking about like cheat days, cheat foods. When my early stages, it used to kind of get on top of me. I used to feel I couldn't have a cheat meal, or I was only allowed one cheat meal.
That's a big problem for me as well.
Massive. So for me, again, when I just got to the point, I switched my mindset. I just thought, you know what? If I want that cake, if I want that, you know, whatever it is, want that chocolate bar, I'm going to have it, mate. Like, it's not the be all and end all. I know that what I do inside the gym and my activity levels, whether that's going to be intensity in the gym or just something as simple as getting your 10,000 steps a day, I know that little chocolate bar for that 1 minute of satisfaction I'm going to have is justifiable. It's not the be all and end all. And that's sometimes it's detrimental how people think about, I can't have that. I can't have that chocolate bar because then that's going to generate your stresses. Obviously, people are going to think, I can't have that. I should be having that. And if anything, it's going to make you more hungry. And then eventually you'll just give in and then plummet even more. And it's just simple nutrition. I get my 5 a day, make sure I'm on top of my water. Water's huge for me. Like, I swear, Brian, like some people don't like the taste. But
there is no taste.
It's like, I don't really like the taste of water. I'm like, okay. But again, obviously, there's things you can squeeze in there just to take the taste away. But it is. And then once I switch that simple nutrition and that basic kind of approach, I don't track at all now my calories. I just know. You can look on your plate and just go, okay, I've got my veg on there. Don't worry too much about whether it's 1 portion, 2 portions, 3 portions. And you start to get a feel and you start to realise your patterns, your routine, and what you're having. And that's all it is, mate. That's all it is in terms of from a food point of view. It's not like massively overcomplicated, and I haven't got the time to keep shopping and waiting on supplements, and and I haven't necessarily got the money to get all these extravagant like meal prep foods, and I've meal prepped myself, but I've just had a week of low calorie, like a low fat meal, ready meals. It's not sustainable having them every week, but it's definitely sustainable having them now and again. And for me, I only worked a few days at work this week. So to meal prep for my week, I was like, you know what? I'll just pop to the shop, get 3 meals. And it's as simple as that. Traffic light system's great. You see on the meals with the fat, the saturated fat, it's as simple as that. Obviously be careful, like, sometimes it says a quarter of a pack is this much. So you got to be mindful of that. But it is such a great guide, and it is something as simple as that. That's all you need. The truth, isn't it?
Just backing up a little bit on some of that. I know you were talking about initially. We'll talk about the whole kind of cheat meal concept and what not allowed, and then we'll elaborate a little bit more on the kind of calorie counting and tracking stuff, and why I don't necessarily think it's a great way for most people to start off either. But on the whole cheat meal thing, I totally feel the same way. Like when you start off trying to be perfect, especially if you are coming from a place where your diet isn't great, and I find that that's what most people do. They'll go, right, okay, and it usually starts on a Monday and doesn't last by like past Friday night, right? That's when they'll start to crack. And that's if they're really determined. So if you're starting off trying to be perfect, and bear in mind, like people who live and breathe health and fitness and looking after themselves, like myself and myself, we never try to be perfect. So why somebody whose diet isn't great and hasn't been great for a while starts that way, is insane, because the people who are setting really good examples here don't do that anyway. So you start trying to be perfect. It's like the only way you can move is regressing. Like you can't progress from starting off perfection. So the only thing that can happen is you're going to start having little cracks and your perfect days of eating, and then that's just going to create a focus of I fucked up again, and then that does horrible things for your confidence. And in fact, when I start helping somebody, coaching them to eat better, I don't tell anyone to eliminate anything. I don't say eliminate alcohol. I don't say eliminate treats and chocolate and all that kind of stuff. I let them use a bit of common sense there. We focus on some of the things like, okay, what makes up a healthy diet? What makes up like a healthy plate? what are some of the elements and other nutritional principles that people need in order to be healthy and get in good shape. And those things are getting enough lean protein, lean protein each meal, getting 5 a day, starting to move along the continuum from, processed foods to more whole foods and simple things like that. And we work on one thing at a time. So it's like, okay, this week or this couple of weeks, every day for 2 weeks, we're just going to practice lean protein each meal until that kind of becomes a habit. And it's like your new normal almost. And then we're going to work on 5 a day, and we're going to do the same thing with that. Excuse me. And then we are going to work on smart carbohydrates, rather than the processed carbs. We're going to work on more kind of whole foods. And then we can look at things like, okay, starting to read nutritional labels and understanding what's on those things and taking it one step at a time, slowly.
It's small steps, isn't it, Dean? You know yourself. And sometimes that's a hard sell because people, society, they want that instant change. They want, they go to the gym and they want to start seeing changes by the end of the week. And that's as brutal as it is. Like, that's just hard facts. People want instant change because people think that's just how it is. People don't see past the Instagram post. People don't see past that, 1 minute clip you put on Facebook. People don't see what you do prior to that. For example, people see me and they assume I am that kind of stereotypical, rigid, count my calories. I don't have junk food. I don't have takeaways, and I get it all the time. And do you know what it is? Once they realise what I eat, don't get me wrong. I haven't got this miraculous ability within my body where I can just eat junk food daily, each and every day. You know what I mean? But it's just all about that balance, that proportionality. I've had a Domino's, a pizza. I understand that. My body isn't going to fail. I am not going to lose the gains I've gained over, a 2,000 calorie pizza. But what I can do is kind of put things in place prior, i.e., train hard, eat relatively good, for me to justify that. Yeah. And that's essentially how it is.
Yeah, these things are like a splash in the water in the bigger picture of a lifetime of good practices. And when I say a lifetime, obviously someone watching this might not have a lifetime of good practices if they're not coming from a good place of health and fitness right now. But looking forward over the next 6 months, year of good practices, just small practices daily, anytime you have what you might class as a cheat meal, we don't even use the term in our coaching programs. Like, we're just, it doesn't even become a thing. If you have a meal that you define as not being great, then make your next one a good one. It's that simple. It's like, don't dwell on it, because the emotional stress that you're going to build up from and associate with that will do your body more harm physically and mentally, right? Because of the chemicals that are involved with having those feelings, will do your body more harm than the meal did itself.
Mate, you've hit the nail in the head, mate. You honestly have. It's small steps.
Parksy, yeah, your wife has just commented, said your Domino's pizza 2 nights in a row.
You know what? I did, to be fair. It was it was again we like to have a takeaway, because obviously having 3 kids, it's kind of hard not to have those nights, but I did have a Domino's one night, and it was I think it was my eldest's birthday, and when it comes to our birthday weekend, we used to say, what do you want to eat? And obviously, being in the pandemic, it was, takeaway was kind of like the only option, really. We couldn't really go out for a meal.
Straight off the Just Eat app.
Yeah. So basically, what it was, he says, I want Domino's, and this was the day after, and Ruth was like, I don't think your dad will have Domino's because he had one last night. And he come downstairs, I was like, yeah, let's have Domino's, But Do you know what I mean? I didn't all of a sudden wake up the next day and go, oh, I've had 2 Dominoes. Look what's happened to me. You know what I mean? I just got back on it, Dean. I just got back on it, stuck to my program, do what I got to do, and just enjoy it more than anything. Enjoy that process, and put, like you were saying, put these little steps together, and then once you start fixing these little blocks together, these little steps, it all starts coming together, and then that's when you start seeing the difference. But
yeah, and that's where a lot of people kind of fall off the wagon. It's like once they have something, and sometimes these things are planned, sometimes they're unplanned. They just happen, and then it's like so often people will feel bad, and they'll get into the state of mind of, oh, what's the point? I've messed it up now, and they'll just stop. Like, no, you failed because you stopped. You don't fail unless you quit. Do you know what I mean? You keep on going. Adopt that wipe the slate clean mentality and just get back to it. Don't worry about making up for any mistakes or what you've missed around. You just get to it as normal. And that's consistency. Right. Consistency leads to great progress over the long term.
Mate, that again, we've touched on this before, haven't we, Dean, about the consistency. That's another great buzzword, that, mate, because essentially, as you know, like, I mean, that picture, that cover picture that is for this live. Obviously, the picture on the left, I was serving. I was in the army, or might have just got out of the army, I think, at that point, or just getting out. So, I wasn't unfit. I wasn't in bad shape, but I just turned 34 Monday, and I'm probably the fittest and strongest I've ever been. Honestly, hand on heart, mate. Like, and that was just down to having structure, having that kind of approach, that positive mindset, that like, I've had a cheat meal, or I've missed this day of training, but I'm not going to let it affect my next week or the next 2 weeks. I'm just going to get back on top of it. So that consistency has what essentially has kept me in the shape I am. Yeah. Like you said, and once you're at that point, the odd bad day, we all have bad days. I have bad days. I wake up sore. I don't train. That one day, it is not going to be detrimental to your overall, or the bigger picture. Essentially, what you want to achieve.
Absolutely, mate. Totally agree. Couldn't agree more. And I'd just like to quickly touch on the calorie counting point of view, because you mentioned that you don't do the calories, you don't track. I know you have in the past. I have in the past, and listen, I've got great results doing that. I've helped clients get great results. Sometimes I might come across on my stuff like I'm anti-calorie counting, and maybe I'm a little bit, and there's good reasons for it. But I don't like to dismiss any tool that can be useful, because some of my clients do it anyway, and I'll support them, and because I'm client centered and I'm here to help the client. But we'll talk a little bit of our experiences with calorie counting, and first of all, we have both got great results with that method in terms of getting leaner and getting in good nick. But what were some of the experiences you had, mate? What were the reasons that you decided it wasn't for you to move forward?
So sorry, the wife was just knocking the window. I don't know I think she's going on the school run. Sorry, can you say that?
Yeah, no worries. What were some of the experiences you had with tracking your food and counting calories, and why did you decide it wasn't for you going forward?
I'll be honest. So I started to put a lot on Instagram, like a fair few years ago. This was before I started to kind of have that positive mindset, that total switch of mindset, which I've had. And it got to the point where I know I could look aesthetically better at the time, from counting my calories or eating less. So I adopted the MyFitnessPal approach, but what I didn't look too much into, I just took kind of like a vague number in terms of like how much calories I should have, and I started to get a bit obsessive with it. So again, to I was counting my calories, I was inputting, but it got to the point where, for example, 5 o'clock in the evening, I'd be capped. So I'd have my max calories,
Yeah.
but I was hungry, but I wouldn't eat because I felt I couldn't. I felt like I shouldn't be eating because I've hit my max calories. So instead of listening to my body and going, no, Alex, you're hungry, just get something, it doesn't have to be something bad. Just get something your body's telling you need to eat. And then it got obsessive. And I was also entering competitions or a specific competition that required you, it was pound for pound. So as you know, the comp, it kind of worked on your body weight. So essentially, the lighter you are, the less weight you would move on a barbell for a workout. So again, that was like a massive thing for me because I was in that mindset of I need to be as light as possible. So I have the lightest weight on my bar. But what I didn't take into account was I might have the lightest or the less weight on my bar, but it's all proportional. So obviously I was lighter, wasn't eating to fuel my program or my sessions. So essentially I was on a lighter weight on the bar, but it felt heavier.
Yeah, you weren't performing.
So that was my essential. So, but again, once, I suppose the bit of a blessing was I didn't enter that comp. It was 1 year, it didn't happen, I think. And from then, I took the approach of, or I initially switched going, well, I don't need to be lighter anymore. But since then is when I've just gained strength, gained fitness. The aesthetic point of view and how I look is just a byproduct of all the other things around it, So my simple nutrition, my consistency, everything like that has just created that byproduct or created how I look. And I'm in probably arguably the best shape I've been in. Like I said, man, I'm not getting any younger, but I feel substantially better than I have done from years ago, mate. So
yeah. I find through my experience, I had quite similar things with the calorie counting and the tracking. Maybe it's personality as well. I can be quite an obsessive person when I get into something, even if I am suffering a little bit on the hunger side, like I'm pushing this. And I found, like, for me, having kids, having a relationship and stuff, and being around other people, when I was kind of at that stage with it, when I was quite obsessive, I was hungry and I felt like I can't eat because I've had enough calories for the day. Like I was moody, irritable, kind of no fun to be around. I didn't really look forward to some of the sociable things with people. And given I was getting quite lean, maybe somewhere between 10 and 12% body fat ish, which isn't exact stage competitor, but for me that was the leanest I've ever been, and that's stressful on the body. Even it doesn't matter like how much weight you've got to lose. The simple act of losing body fat is a stressful thing on the body. And if you're pushing it constantly, then that can be quite detrimental to health and energy and how you feel. Absolutely.
Essentially, when I was eating less, because I think I was still training at the intensity, I was still competing at just local comps, and I think I was only probably on less than maybe about 2,500 calories, just over 2,500 calories a day on my training day. So I wasn't taking into account my training that day, but I was lean, mate. Like you've said, I was shredded. But that's the society we live in. People look from the outside and think, you're shredded, you look great. But like you said, I looked great, but I didn't feel great. I felt weak. I felt like deprived. I just wasn't in that good place to interact with things that I should be looking forward to. Like you said, on the days out, family, again. So from when I stopped doing that, don't get me wrong, calorie counting, can be beneficial if done right. Coaches, PTs, trainers, they all have a different approach. If they do it properly, then it is one, sustainable, and two, enjoyable. And so as long as you incorporate the foods you enjoy, it's easy, relatively easy to do. But you've got to have that coach, that trainer, that PT on board who knows what they're doing. You know, not just kind of like plucking max calories from the sky and going, this is what you need to do. Anyone knows that you eat less calories than what you burn a day, you're going to lose weight, like, you know, regardless. But for me, it was just all about kind of like that longevity, and calorie counting just took a back burner for me, mate. It was just getting too obsessive.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. I think so too. And it's just one of some of the reasons I like to start off as to go on and just building in those nutritional principles, because I find, and it's proven to work with lots and lots of clients I've worked with, we get the right nutritional principles in place. We make someone healthy. We make them active. They're training consistently. They're working on themselves. The personal, individual hunger and fullness cues start to work themselves out. They're more satisfied. They feel better. They get leaner naturally. And we can do all that stuff without the weighing, the measuring, the tracking and all that, and kind of taking over a big chunk of their attention, especially with a lot of these guys being busy dads. And they get lean and fit and strong. And then if they want to take it further, like past that stage, and then maybe, you know, once they've built up some skills, then okay, maybe it's time to track. And I think that's a better approach, I think.
No, but that exactly. I was going to mention that. To be fair, if you're not an elite athlete, or if you're not competing at a high level, then for me, tracking calories really isn't a necessity. As long as you're enjoying your training, you're enjoying your foods, and you are on that path to live a healthy life with sustainability, then so what? Like, you know, it is what it is. Like for the elites, it's different. It's a different ball game. They need to be fueled. They're training longer than our 1 hour, 2 hour sessions that we do 5 times a week, or however long you train. That's their professional career. That's their essentially what they do. So you have these like elite fighters, these footballers, you know, they're going to have to dial in that nutrition because of the level they are at. For us, we're just average Joes. We don't need to be dialed in this much. At the end of the day, as long as you've got that, you enjoy what you're doing, you enjoy what you're training, and you just got to look at that longevity more than that kind of maybe that performance on how you perform. You know, as long as what you perform at home with your family, with your kids and whoever, as long as you're happy with what you're doing, you don't need to necessarily be this kind of this person who's like super shredded or like super fit. You just need to be at that level which is sustainable, and it's something then you can take forward and maintain for what your lifestyle allows for. You know, because we're all different. You know that.
I love that. And speaking about performances and events, tell us a story about the school sports day you're telling me before.
Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah. So, dad's race. It's, do you know, like, right? So, going slightly back a bit, like talking about the longevity and why I train. You know, I don't want to be this kind of dad. Or as I'm getting older, I don't want to be this dad that goes, you know what, I can't come and play with you, Sophia. I can't come and play with you, Benjamin. My back's gone, etc., etc. I'm not saying it won't, but if I can put in good practices and good movements and good range of motion, everything molded into my training that helps me or my longevity of my bones, my joints, my muscles, then that's going to help. So with sports day, it's one of those like, okay, so it's a dad's race, and it's just like, yeah, okay, you know, might have a dabble. I knew I was going to get amongst this dad's race, mate. So we'll be there, and the call for this dad's race, and I'm like, I had to give it the like dead reluctance look, like, oh, all right then, okay. knowing like deep down, like
game on.
This is on me, mate. Like, I'm not playing games here, mate. Like this is good. So I'm there at the start line, but like these kids started to get up, like, and I'm just like, that's brothers, that is. Like, that's brothers, that's not dads. So this dad's race was cool, and then there was like 18, 19, 20-year-olds stepping up, mate. I'm like, nah, like, that can't be happening. But I'm not one to moan, mate. I'm not one to moan, so obviously, like, I give it the dead kind of cool, blasé look about it at the start line, like, and then, mate, as soon as that ready, steady, go, I was on it. But it wasn't such an egotistic thing for me. I won, by the way. Let's not.
Yeah, of course, yeah, of course.
You know what I mean? Like,
you can't let a 20-year-olds beat you.
Yeah, mate. So these teenagers, these brothers, were just like, man, who's this like little like rapid hobbit? Just like smoked me on a sports day. But for me, mate, like it was the kind of the social acceptance in terms of like my daughter. So if it meant for my daughter that people would approach her in school in a nice way, or the other students or the kids who are friends would be like, oh wow, your dad is XYZ, and if it meant that would have a positive effect on my daughter's mental state in terms of like, yeah, okay, that's brilliant. That for me was more important. So I'm trying to say it in like the most modest kind of way you can.
Yeah, I know what you mean, because it's like there's obviously there's a way people generally look at this, the whole discussion around social acceptance and where we all fit into society. And at the end of the day, the bottom line is like social acceptance is an important thing to human nature. It's like it's inbuilt in our DNA, and that is an important thing. And if your daughter can, feel extremely proud of watching her dad like smoke all the 20-year-olds and stuff on the dad's race, it's like, you know what I mean? That's going to do great things for her confidence, because she sees that and she's like, well, there's the standards.
Yeah, that's it, mate. So like for me, and that's essentially what I do things for. Again, going back a bit, is for my family. Like, that's essentially what it is. Like, everything I do is to put myself in a better position for my family. I'm not bothered about competing. I'm not bothered about necessarily how I look. If all of a sudden I maintained what I do in terms of how I train, and aesthetically I started to take a dip, then that's fine, as long as I would still sustain what I do as a family, as a husband, as a father. I'm happy. So roll on the next dad's race, sports day.
Yeah. Yeah, they're like the undisputed.
That's it, yeah.
10 years running.
I'll embrace like a second place, a third place. So it is what it is. It is all for the banter, all for fun. But at the same time, like, winning's winning, man. And like, if you can put your like bragging rights for your children in that kind of environment in school, where schools and some social environments can be bad, I suppose, in terms of just the society we live in general. So if it means it's going to make my daughters, whether it's a day, a week, or a month, easier time at school, then so be it. And essentially, that's what I'm here to do as a father. So
yeah, that's a great thing. That's a thing to be proud of, mate.
Cheers.
Do what? Yeah, I'm not sure you'd have won that race if I was there.
No, mate, I wouldn't have chicken legs. I'm going to take you out the game.
And with that in mind, mate, being a family man and having kids obviously limits the amount of time that you have to look after yourself and work on these things. And ultimately that is part of the reasons that some people will say, well, I don't have time to train. I don't have time to prep some meals and eat better and stuff like. And it is a real struggle, but perception is everything. How you look at this, whether it's I don't have time because of this, or I must make time because of this. What do you do, mate, to make sure that you make room in your life for making yourself fit, keeping yourself fit, and working on these goals?
So again, Dean, it all depends on so if you're just going to the gym because you see it as a necessity to fit within society, to look good so you're accepted, then you will never see training as one, enjoyable, or you won't be motivated for it, because when you do have your low motivated days, your low mood days, you will struggle because you'll think to yourself, you know what, I don't care what people think. If you switch your mindset in terms of the bigger picture, so again, what I was saying about with my family, so when I have my low mood days or my low motivation days, I think, what am I doing it for? So yeah, I like to compete. I do compete, and I still will as long as I can. But for me, it is that picture of the family. So until they're older, I want to be able to do everything I can possibly do. If Sophia wants me to go outside, or if Sophia wants me to pick this up, or Sophia says, can you do this? Or Benjamin, Josh, whoever, I want to be able to do that. So that was essentially, it wasn't a case of finding time. It was a case of making time. Do you know what I mean? So when you broke it down, and this is all with adequate sleep, adequate rest, I wasn't bending over backwards. I was finding time and I was adjusting. Again, like we've spoken about before, there was a time I was getting up at 3 a.m. on a Saturday and a Sunday, and I was training. I was getting up. At the time, I had access to a gym, and I was getting in the gym and doing what I needed to do prior to work also. But for me, it was like Saturday, Sunday, I had the whole day. I could have just done it at 11 o'clock in the morning. I could have done it at 2 o'clock in the morning. This was obviously before I had the gym at home. But because I was working Monday to Friday, and the wife, Ruth, she was working shifts on and how it worked. So I came back from shift, and then Ruth went straight out as soon as I was back. So, and that's how we saved on childcare at the time when the kids were younger. So yeah, my training splits was all over the place. I was finding time, and I was adjusting because I had that mindset of important. I had that important motivator of, this is for that longevity of you, or as a husband, as a father. You start becoming sedentary. Essentially, you're not going to enjoy the finer things. Getting out and about and doing things for your kids, and it's not just the family. It's not just the kids. It's just it could be something as little as putting something in the loft or the attic. Something where you kind of you need that kind of strength, you need that kind of mobility, that flexibility, that range of motion, anything. So all these factors was just piled into me, and that's everything. Don't get me wrong, my alarm went off at 3 o'clock, mate, and there was times when I was just like, what am I doing? But those motives were just in my head all the time, and this is why I'm doing it. So I was making time, because there's plenty of time. And that's the thing. There is plenty of time. And people will be sitting there going, yeah, but he had access to a gym. Yeah, that's great. And it was great. And I was grateful for that. And I was blessed at the time. But let's not get it twisted. If I never had that access to the gym, I would have made it work, mate. I would have been at home. I would have been finding bags of sand, tins, cartons, something. I would have been doing dips off the shelf. I would have been something something that would have kept me in that prime shape, or that that maintenance at the time. So yeah, at the time I was grateful.
Yeah, I would just like to touch on that quickly before we move on, and that's a whole mindset thing there as well. It's like, you know, a lot of people, because of their circumstances, if I don't have access to a gym, or I don't have any weights at home, even though, you know, but you could easily buy some, and if you don't have a lot of money, you can find them second hand on Marketplace, Gumtree, whatever. I don't have X, Y, and Z. I know a lot of people who travel away for work and they live in hotel rooms. It's like, fit people are fit because they keep themselves fit. It's not because of the equipment they have access to or the knowledge they have access to. It's because they live the life regardless to the circumstance or the situation. So, and no one, I don't know anyone who has managed to go from being unfit, unhealthy, unhappy to being fit, strong, you know, having the health and body that they want without making that mindset shift. Do you know what I mean? And just learning to train the body. Like, it's my body. I'm going to invest in it. It's a bank account. Every workout, whether it's a press up or whether it's a dumbbell press, it's a deposit in that savings account, you know?
See, I love it. See, I love that, Dean. Like, again, what I kind of think and what I say to people is the one thing you truly own, like no one can take it back from you. No one can go, I'm keeping that until this, is your body. Your body is the one thing you truly own. Everything else, you know, cars, houses, you know, there's deposits down, it's all on finance, there's things you purchase that can go away, that you can sell on. But your body is the one thing you truly own. That's yours. So, like you were saying, invest in it. You've got to make it as best as you can. So that one thing you truly own, why not make it the best possible one that you can have, you know?
Yeah, absolutely, mate. And you were talking about like you having access to the gym, especially during lockdown, because you've built up your own kind of home gym. I've got all my own stuff, and you will, like, I know for a fact you would have heard it, and people would have said to me, "Oh, sorry for you. You've got all that stuff at home." And I'm like, "Hey, listen, that's because, you know, the money that I earn, which you probably earn more money than me, or maybe just as much. It's like I'm putting that to different places that are just within my values. Do you know what I mean? I'm not spending that on a 250 quid home beer maker. You know, mate, I'm not building a pub in my back garden because we're in lockdown and I can't visit a pub. I'm investing that in some dumbbells and some suspension trainers and those kind of things instead. It's like, it's because values, do you know what I mean? And if you have to adopt the same values, you can do the same stuff for your body. If you look at your body as something that's worth investing in, then again, that's the mindset shift you have to make first before any of this other stuff is all relevant.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, for me, it was going off or talking about my home gym. When we moved property, obviously we had equity in our previous property, and by all means, I think I did mention it to Ruth and my wife. You know, let's go on a family holiday. You know what I mean? I mean, for us, for it to be enjoyable for the age range in our family, you're talking a good few £1,000s. And we was, when we was looking for another property, we was actively looking for a garage space for a gym, because it wasn't just to have that kind of perk of working out at home. It was, so for me, where I was losing time, or where I could save time and spend more time again with my children, is the time I would take to drive to and from the gym. So if I can eliminate that again, I'm making time. So like, I'm not fine, like, so I'm creating it in the sense of my workout sessions a lot more. I can work out an hour and a half. But when I was going to the gym, it was like I could be gone for over 2 hours. You know, if I can gain back half an hour to an hour where I can be instantly with my children or prior or post workout, then for me that was a no-brainer. So when we was looking for a space, instead of going on this family holiday, which was, you know, she encouraged me at the time, you know, we was always going to get the kit it out. But she was like, okay, why don't we spend or get that extra money spent on the gym to make it not as bad? Because there was a time when I did have the kit, but I still needed, or I felt I needed to go to the gym for certain
Other things that you didn't have. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then she was encouraging at the time and saying, you know what, just get everything you need in that gym so you don't have to. And I'm like, it's a no-brainer. So, but again, like you said, in lockdown, people like, you know, people were messaging me on my Instagram saying, you're lucky for, I'm not lucky, mate. I am not lucky. I've worked for this essentially. I'm grateful. And that's what I am. I'm not lucky. It's not something that, oh, look, I've just moved into this property and look what we have here. We have a home gym, which is perfectly set up for what I do. You know, I've worked for this, mate, and but I'm grateful for the position I'm in terms of what I do for my work, which is essentially enabled us to do that initial move. But yeah, so I'm definitely grateful. But everything I've been in the position to do in terms of like, for the, you know, people might say, oh, you're lucky that you've got the job you have. I still have to do a qualification for that job. I still had to go for a job interview that I had to pass. Nothing was given to me. And this is just a byproduct of hard work.
Yeah, 100%, mate. And obviously anyone listening to this might think, well, that's all good, but I don't have space to build a gym and stuff. And you don't need a lot of space. You don't need a lot of equipment. And I understand that's why all the guys that come through my program are all dads and they don't necessarily have that. And listen, it's like, here's the equipment that we use and we get guys in great shape with on our program. Thy body, first and foremost, a suspension trainer, a pair of adjustable dumbbells, a couple of resistance bands. Do we have anything else? I think that might be us covered. I think that's us. That's it. And it's like, so for your cardio guys, do what you like doing. If you like to go jog, like go cycle, whatever, do that stuff. And we do the resistance-based training with the adjustable dumbbells, the body weight suspension trainer, and resistance bands. And I mean, we get great results on that. And those are all things that don't take up a lot of space, man. They can be stored away.
Yeah, mate, 100%. I mean, but again, it's, if you are going to have those people that don't have that space or say, you know, I haven't got, but again, it's back to switching that mindset. It's back to switching, going, okay, I haven't got that space at home, but there is, there's areas and items at home you could use. And like you said, body weight is for me, it's like shifting your own body weight can't be more relevant to you. So, you know, you're moving your body in that range of motion or those patterns, which is relevant to you, and you're still shifting X amount of weight, your body weight. But you do, once if you switch that mindset to something that's going to drive and motivate you, you have got those like 24-hour gyms where you can practice what the coach has set for you, what the PT has set for you. And that's essentially all it is. Again, it goes back to when I was getting up at 3 a.m. I didn't have a space at home. And I private property, I had no kit. And I didn't necessarily want to take up my time after work in the gym. I wanted to spend it with my family. So I trained in the middle of the night when everyone was asleep and it didn't affect them. So it's that mindset to it.
100%, mate. And whilst we're on the workout topic, what are some of your training principles? What are some of the kind of aims that you're looking to make progress with in your workouts? What does a typical workout look like?
So again, sorry, what was the last one thing?
Yeah, sorry, mate. I think we maybe broke up a bit there. What does a typical workout look like for you, mate? And what are some of the principles you have in your training?
Yeah, okay. So again, like we touched at the start about functional fitness. For me, it was again like I think we were saying about like straight line movements. You kind of like you know in that plane of like. I mean, don't get me wrong. Some compound movements are great; they're relevant, and you can incorporate them perfectly. But for me, it was like functional fitness that had transitional movements to everyday life movements. So you're picking up boxes, you're picking up the children, playing with them, moving stuff around the house, everything that functional fitness incorporates in terms of the movements is transferable to day movements. So again, that's what for me. So I'm a trainer, I'm going to get fit, to get stronger, and I can also transfer that. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's elements of strength training that you can transfer, but functional fitness for me has those movement patterns, that range of motion more so, which is more transferable. So I stayed on that kind of like wave with functional fitness, and I still do more. So when off the back of my PTI course, I started that. When was that? It was
2012, I think.
Yeah, so it must have been. I think it was the start of 2013 was when I started kind of implementing it. I started doing my own research. I had a help from a guy called Al Walker, who essentially got me into CrossFit. Mega lad, he was the core guy in Nottingham. So yeah, I essentially thank him for that, because he got me onto that kind of that methodology. And yeah, I've just had the book since, because it's just been relevant. It's just been relevant to my lifestyle, what I want to do, what my motivators are. It was just relevant for that. So I've stayed on that kind of functional fitness, CrossFit. I didn't want to use that word, but some people might be like more kind of okay or au fait with that CrossFit term. So yeah, I just stayed in there, and that's what I'm still doing, mate. I'm still kind of implementing. I've got a coach. Currently, I'm with a guy called Alex Reese, who's still serving in the PT Corps. I've jumped on his program, RX Athletes. And again, for me, it's that accountability. So he sets the program. I look at it daily, and I just get that done. So there's strength cycles and those workout movements for that intensity, and I just stick to that, and that's what I find works for me. It's good.
A couple of things I would like to touch on there. So just to elaborate on some of the movements that you're talking about. You say functional. You and I have a good idea what that means. Some of the other guys might not. So do you mean like things like I know you do a lot of barbell lifts, and so you're talking about like cleans and maybe weighted carries and things like that?
Yes. So more so CrossFit is essentially all your kind of like your running, your rowing, your Olympic lifts, your gymnastics. It's every kind of it's a lot within the methodology.
Kind of being like a good average of all these different types of
all the different principles,
lanes, so to speak.
Yeah, so I mean, it's not overcomplicated. Like for example, I still do my squats today, which you'll find outside of the functional fitness kind of predominant programs. It's just the same kind of, you get your bench, you get your pulls, you get your presses, you get your workouts, your rowing. It's just a mixture of everything, which transfers well to everyday life. So I think today I did my clean and jerks, so my Olympic lifts. Then I did some front squats, barbell front squats. And then done some deadlifts, and then I finished with a bit of a conditioning piece.
You're checking the board there?
Yeah, it's all on the board. Yeah.
Trusty whiteboard.
Yeah, that's it. My trusty whiteboard. So yeah.
Good man.
It's good.
Sweet. And I like that you use a coach as well, and you have somebody programming for you, keeping you accountable, and so do I. Some people are quite surprised to hear that because I'm a PT, I'm a trainer, and I'm like, if I try and program for myself, like I'm off that program by week 2 or 3, and I'm like, maybe I've changed, maybe I should have done this, and I've changed that, and I don't make progress. Like I struggle to make progress. So, and also I think a big thing is like I find so many guys want to kind of know how to do it themselves. And I'm like,
Yeah.
mate, look, you're an engineer. You've got all these responsibilities at work. You've got X amount of kids. You barely get time for it. You're making time has always been a struggle for you. You want to learn how to do my job, like that. You're not going to make the best results that way. And simplify your life. Get somebody who can help you with this stuff. All you have to do is follow the plan, communicate with your coach, get some guidance on things where you need to, X, Y, Z, and things are going to go smooth for you. Do you know what I mean? You don't have to juggle all that stuff and learn how to do our job as well.
Mate, the thing is, Dean, it's people will quite happily spend 20 quid a week on a takeaway, like 80 quid a month. Like I pay £30 for my program a month, but people will quite happily go out boozing on the weekend. They'll have takeaways. I mean, don't get me wrong. You need to have these things for balance. I understand that, but then that's exactly what you need to do. You need to find that balance, So think to yourself, I tell you what, I'll have a takeaway twice a month, every 2 weeks. That's going to take £40 off my takeaway expenditure. That £40 then can go to a PT, a coach, who will give me an individualized program to suit my needs. I had a coach previously. Again, I swear blind by him, a guy called Connor Murphy. I had an individualized program off him, and that equated to a couple of takeaways. And he, at the time when I didn't have all the kit, he adjusted the program to what I had at home and what I could do. Because, like you're saying, that's what these guys do. These subject matter experts, these guys are coaches, PTs like yourself. That's what they do. So take that kind of expenditure on takeaways every week, half it, discipline yourself, switch that mindset to what matters, and implement that money that you're saving on that takeaway to a coach, to a PT. You don't have to have access to a gym. They could just go, tell you what, this month, that £20, you're not going to have a takeaway, you're going to buy a kettlebell. Then that's all you need, or it's as little as that potential need. Like you said, to put on the equipment list, bands, body weight, just let a coach, let a PT put this for you, put it in front of you, and you're accountable to that. Get it done. No excuses.
Yeah. Again, it's just going back to that mindset thing and your values and your perception on these kind of things as well, isn't it, mate? It's just all going to stem from that. So listen, mate, we're going to finish. Well, this has been great. We're going to finish up on last couple of questions quickly. Which supplements do you use and why do you use them?
Again, what we were saying about the nutrition, I just kept it simple. I think I touched briefly on trying all sorts of like pre-workouts, intra-workouts, but again, it was just getting so overwhelming. So I took the approach of what was researched the most, what was proven, what supplements were backed the most, basically, that had the most results, and have been around for a while. So for me, I take creatine, I take B12 and they're only having a decent whey protein. But again, I have the protein, obviously to repair the muscle. But for me, I have it with the semi-skim milk, just also as like a bit of a snack to get that sweet craving. So if I have a protein shake, it's just a better one for me, instead of kind of again dipping in the sweet board. And then the vitamins and minerals, one of the kids are trying to get in. Vitamins and minerals, your omega-3s for your joints, a decent one of them, and vitamin C, the immune, and the vitamin D3, and that is it, mate. So vitamin C, vitamin D3, an omega-3 oil, capsules, a decent enough whey protein, a nice whey, B12 creatine. That's it, mate. And you know what? It's once you find something that works, there's no real reason to deviate.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If it, like for me, that works. I haven't, I've gained. I'm still getting stronger. So why change? So it might not be directly related to that. It's all these other things as well in terms of my training. But if it's working and it's incorporated, I'm not going to take it out, because it might have that effect where things might start kind of slowing down. So, you know, I get myself on my protein. It's cheap enough, mainly because the save obviously on the packaging, but it works. It works as no need to kind of look at these.
I take all those same ones. Mine is the beta alanine. I've taken that before, and I did like that. I don't take the whey protein because, one, I have lactose problems, and also I get enough protein from food. And the other ones, the omega-3, I take a good multivitamin that's got enough vitamin C and stuff in it, multivitamin, multimineral, and and the vitamin D with K2, and those are purely like as an umbrella for health. You know, for making up where, you know, because we're all busy, and I'm not growing my own organic crops in the back garden and eating only that stuff, and I'm not rotating all my foods consistently to get every single vitamin and mineral that I possibly can from food. Like, we live in a modern world where, hey, sometimes we eat a lot of the same stuff by through habit and simplicity, and we might be missing some things. So I take the things that we know that works, and it's just going to act as a bit of an umbrella to make up for maybe some of the vitamins and minerals and stuff that I'm not getting consistently enough. And for the creatine, it's like purely recovery. You know, I'm not an old man by any means, being 34, same as you, mate, but I notice a difference from being 34 and 28 from like what I can recover from and how far I can push my body. And the creatine, you know, is one of the most researched things. And when I use it, I do feel like I'm recovering better, and I'm training harder. And hey, it works, and I'm consistent with those. I think it's important when it comes to supplements. A lot of people start off, and sometimes in the beginning of their journey, they're like, what supplements should I take? It's like, hold on, like, these are not going to make up for like missing the big rocks and the building exercise into your life consistently, finding a routine, a schedule that works for you, making time consistently, drinking enough water, getting enough sleep, getting enough protein, fruits and vegetables, more whole foods. The supplements are going to like supplement that stuff. That's why they're called supplements. Right, because you could take these things and there's a good chance you won't notice much of a difference. In terms of physique, I'm not sure I would even say that they'll make much of a difference on that either. Maybe the slight edge when you've already made a lot of progress, okay, they might take that a little bit further. But these are umbrellas and to support health for me. And
100%. So it's like you touched on it. It's supplementary. The clue is in the name. It's supplementary to your diet, but not only to your diet, to your lifestyle. You've got to bring all these other factors together to help, like you're saying, that kind of that accountability, the consistency in training, sleep. Mate, it's massive. Before you even start talking about supplements, make sure you're getting what you can be getting, because obviously, like you were saying about your protein, there's absolutely no need for a protein shake. You can get it all from your food, from your diet. There's absolutely no need, because your body will only shit out, excuse my French, what protein it doesn't use anyway. So people are getting enough protein in the diet, having a protein shake, and it's just pointless anyway.
I remember the days before I knew anything about nutrition and training. I used to think all you did was you went to the gym, you did your 3 sets of 10 on bench, on flies, on shoulders. You had your protein shaking, and that was it. You built muscle.
Yeah. I'm drinking protein. Why am I not?
Wasted a fortune on protein.
Oh, mate, 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, mate. This has been fantastic. We're going to finish up there. My biggest take home from this is obviously simplicity, but if there's one message that's coming through from yourself, mate, it was that there's only one thing that you truly own, and that is your body. You can strip everything else back, and really, you only have that one thing. So why not invest in it? Why not make it better? Why not improve it?
The thing is, when you say it out loud, it's almost like, yeah, you know what?
Yeah.
You know what I
Everything
mean?
else can be taken away.
What's that?
Everything else can be taken away.
Yeah. But once you say it out loud, you're like, you know what? The one thing I own, truly own, is my body. Why not plug all my kind of interest? Because that's essentially what it is. Because you got interest in other things that are kind of like are gonna be here and then not be there. So why not plug it all into the one thing that is going to be yours and is yours? It's a no-brainer for me.
Yep. Parksy, I really appreciate this, mate. I know that your story and your message is going to inspire a lot of people, and at the very least make them stop and think and go, hold on, you know, I think I'm going to start making some changes. And if we can do that, then, you know, that's our chat, our 15 chat has been more than worth it. So thank you very much for coming on and sharing your story, mate.
No, Dean, thank you very much for having me. Honestly, from when you approached me, I thought this is going to be, you know, without blowing smoke up my own arse, I thought this is so relevant to what we want to achieve from this chat, you know. So, you know, I am a dad, you know, I've got the 3 kids, you know, I work shifts. And like I said, I'm going to be fitter and stronger than I've ever been. So it is achievable. You just need to amalgamate these things outside of that stigma of protein shakes and bicep curls. You know, you start incorporating basic kind of life principles and the accountability, your sustainability, your longevity, start looking at the bigger picture, what you really want, and then it's all going to fall into place.
Love it. I love it. Parkside, you have a fantastic weekend with the family, mate. We shall catch up again soon.
Dean, thank you very much, mate.
I appreciate you. Thanks, Parkside.
Bye-bye.